Are you an agent who wants to work with investors, or are you an investor that is curious what it's like to work with an agent? Maybe needs some motivation or some just some tips. If so, this video is for you. Hey there, I'm Christy Henshaw. I'm in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I was actually an investor before I got my real estate license. I've been doing investments for, I guess, since 2013. And so I can tell you, just with working both sides, why it is good as an agent to work with investors. And one of the main reasons is that investors give you repeat business. If you can show them that you know what you know, whatever niche they may be in, whether it's rentals or land or commercial, if you know what's going on, you're going to establish trust with that investor, and they're going to want to come to you because you know what you're talking about, and they're going to ask you for advice and what do you think, and so it means repeat business. And as a real estate agent, we don't get paid while we're working the deal. We get paid when things close, which brings me to my next point, which is that investors can pay with cash usually, and they can close quickly. And they're able to close quickly because of paying with cash. And if they're not able to pay with cash and they have to do financing, they usually have investment partners as part of the deal who are, just getting their money ready, or they have lenders, lots of lenders just lined up ready to go. So working with investors is a great opportunity to have repeat business and to close quickly. Another thing about working with investors is that there is location flexibility. So you're not tied to one area. Really, it's their criteria that matters more. So things like market trends or rental trends, zoning laws. I'm trying to think of other things. Most importantly, their cash flow, if it's a rental or an Airbnb, if they're well, I guess with all of it, but especially if you're renovating and trying to flip a property, just your ROI, your return on investment. And so if you're a real estate agent wanting to work with investors, it's really good to maybe get with somebody and go over those numbers, try to learn the business. And if you've got it in you and you're financially able, it would be really good to do this yourself at least once so that you can really know what it's like. So a lot of investors got into this with COVID, and that's kind of when I backed out of flipping properties, kicking myself for that. But I was just thinking, man, people are paying too much for properties, and it's not worth it. I didn't see my numbers work out, but they would have worked out because of appreciation. With the crazy appreciation, a lot of investors are really, really lucky, and they might have a surprise come in the next few years as things kind of settle. So it's really important to know your numbers, and it's really important to stick to your budget and meet those numbers. Cannot count on appreciation. That is not a good way to go about this. Another great thing about working with investors is they have an unemotional approach. It's probably the best way to say it. If you've been in this business for any time, you've had clients that sometimes, when you're dealing with selling someone's personal property, their personal home or their parents' home, it can get hard. And so you kind of have to go into this mode sometimes of just trying to talk people off the ledge, or help them see things from another perspective. And all of that is fine and good, but with investors, it's just business. So it's very unemotional. It's kind of like, is it going to fit the criteria? Is it going to work? Do the numbers work? Because if they don't, we're kind of done. And you just move on to the next thing. And a lot of times as a realtor, if you're working with an investor, it can be hard. If you've put a lot of work into a property and trying to figure out if it's going to work, and you're helping the investor work numbers and think through things, and then they say, no, this isn't going to work. Man, we don't get paid till it closes. But I mean, if you can just kind of be unemotional about it yourself and just remember, hey, this is repeat business. If they trust you and want to, work things, when I say work things, I'm meaning work numbers out with you and talk over, uh, just kind of use you to bounce ideas if this is going to work or not. Um, it pays off. You get repeat business. It usually those transactions usually close pretty quickly. So hey, if you think this content is helpful, please press the subscribe button. It will help, especially with me being a newer channel. It'll help push this out more, especially if you like it, or make comments or ask questions in the comment section. It's just going to help me out. So really appreciate that. Here are some helpful tips. I've been on both sides where I'm an investor and I'm also a realtor, and these are some things to consider if you're an investor. What you can do, or if you're a real estate agent that's working with the investor, these things would help you too. So take advantage of social media. When you can mark and tag your location on a property that you're posting about, that is going to push that property out to others in that location. So I have land out in, for example, like land listed out in Mansfield. Whenever I'm making any sort of post about that land, I'm going to tag Mansfield, and it's going to go out to more people there. And in fact, that is one way I connected with an investor client. I do a lot of decorating jobs just on the side for fun, and one of my clients and dearest friends is in Mansfield, Texas. So every time I was posting about the decorating work that I was doing in Mansfield, Texas, I tagged the location. Now, this was back when I didn't even know what all this was for. But what came out of it is one of my old high school friends lives in Mansfield, and he's an investor. And he kept seeing my things come across the page, and so he called me up, and now we've been working together for years. It's wonderful. So tag your location. It works. It really, really works. Another thing you can do is join local networking groups that have to do with investments, or anything where you can learn about important things like the foundation or the roof, or learning about like the age of water heaters and what to look for just with inspections. Those sorts of things will help your investor clients. And if you're an investor, it's good to go to those groups, because you're going to network with other people in that industry, and other agents as well. You might just find the perfect fit for you. You can join Facebook groups. So tons of Facebook groups, and especially if you are, which every Facebook group has a realtor in it, but if you're someone who's joining investment groups and you're actually providing value and being a resource, instead of just, hey, look at me, I can help you, I'm a realtor, call me. If you could actually be a resource, I think it helps when you're in those groups. And like I said before, know the basics of real estate investments. So with the roof and the water heater age, the foundation, even if you can learn how to calculate for profits. So if you're working with an investor who is looking at buying a property for a rental, if you know, because it's not just the loan, those aren't the numbers. You need to go through and look at taxes. You need to look at insurance. That's just some of it, and go through, what do you expect to spend on this property? What are the HOA fees? Go through it all. What do you want to make in a profit, and be able to talk these things out with an investor. And if you're an investor, those things matter, which you probably already know that. If you're an investor, you might consider getting a real estate license, because one, it's gonna save you money, which is why I got into it to begin with, because I just thought, why are we giving part of our profit to a real estate agent when I can do this? And then the other part is that it's going to hold you to a higher standard. So there are laws out there, if you're a landlord, that I didn't even know about when I first became a landlord. I didn't know things about, so many smoke detectors, per room, and all this kind of stuff. I just had no idea. And when you're getting your license, you learn about all the stuff that is required by law. So it's really good. And then if you're doing renovations, like things with city permits, a lot of renovators hire contractors and they don't get things permitted. And if you're an investor doing that, you really should consider looking into the city for permitting. A lot of cities offer incentives if you'll just kind of let them check it and permit it along the way. You can get financially paid back. One city here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, I don't know if they're still doing it, but a few years back, I got a check for $16,000 because I had the renovation raised their property taxes, and so they gave us a certain percentage based on how much their taxes went up. And so I'm not saying that is how it is in every city or with everybody, but you should definitely check with the city, because it wasn't something that was like broadcast to everybody. We just stumbled upon it because we checked. Learn this business, and when I say that, I mean like learn about foundations, learn about how to work numbers, learn about the roofs. And just make connections. It really is a fun part of real estate. It's my favorite part next to decorating. I love learning and working with investors, and it's a lot of fun. And if you're an investor, you might decide you want to get your license, and if you're a real estate agent, you might consider investing yourself. It's a lot of fun. And if you do make that move, you're going to be glad that you did. I will talk to you next week. Please send me questions and subscribe, I will talk to you soon.